I was sitting on a rooftop and I saw like a 7-unit apartment building, and I was like, if there's one person that's collecting all that rent, like he's got to be making money. And that's kind of how I fell in love with the idea of real estate. Started ordering like as many like books and like little workbooks I could find just to, educate myself. And so then started looking for houses. Bought my first house at 20. Bought my second one at 21. Sold it 6 months later, 4 days after my 22nd birthday. Made $100,000 in profit. And I was like, all right, this works.
Welcome to another episode of Break Away from the Rat Race. And today we are in studio with Austin Rutherford and my co-host Antoine Martel, real estate genius, entrepreneurial genius, I should say, and by my son and brother and business partner. So let's talk about Austin. At age 20, Austin bought his first rental property. That was in December of 2013. He then went on to flip his first house, making over $100,000 in profit, and since then has wholesaled and flipped hundreds of houses, and he now owns a rental property portfolio of $15 million. You may know Austin from social media because he has 1 million followers on social media, where he has built a very strong personal brand. And Austin is still investing in real estate. He has an Amazon bestseller book called Get Free Houses, and he started a company called Elevate Life. So, Austin, welcome to the show.
I'm excited to be here. I appreciate the opportunity to share.
Yeah, excellent. So, first, let's just talk about kind of how you got started. Your first house, so kind of how did that come about? I think this is always people are always interested in that. Why not just get a job and why start investing in real estate?
Absolutely. I mean, my original dream was to go to the NBA. So I was a baller back in the day. I could still play a little bit, but that was a dream. And got to a point where I just hated touching the rock. It was burnout, or I don't know what it was, but hated it. Life completely changed. It was like, all right, well, that was my life. What do I do now? And I ended up reading a book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Mm-hmm. It just opens up to the idea of like getting more out of life, I guess. Mm-hmm. And then I was sitting on a rooftop and I saw like a 7-unit apartment building. And I was like, if there's one person that's collecting all that rent, like he's got to be making money. And that's kind of how I fell in love with the idea of real estate. Started ordering like as many like books and like little workbooks I could find just to, educate myself. And passive residual income was like what hooked me, like making money without working continuously. I was like, sounds pretty good. And so then started looking for houses. Bought my first house at 20. Bought my second one at 21. Sold it 6 months later, 4 days after my 22nd birthday. Made $100,000 in profit. And I was like, all right, this works. I'm all in on it. And just been doing it ever since.
Yeah.
And were you where is this in high school or college at the time, or were you in school?
Yeah, so great question. So I went to high school, graduated, moved to Phoenix, Arizona to play at a prep school, again, pursuing that dream of the NBA.
Damn.
And at prep school, about halfway through the season, I was like, this sucks. Like, I hated it. I hated my life. So I was always like, hustling for money, flipping candy, cutting grass, shoveling driveways.
Oh my God.
So I picked up a valet job on the side. Just because I wanted to make money, and kind of through that over the next couple of months is when I kind of fell into real estate.
Damn.
Wow. So this is also so you just saw a house, you just decided that okay, well, I want to invest in that, and then you had to self-educate.
Yeah.
So this is to me that's kind of interesting. Like, why don't they teach that stuff at school? Why don't they? It should be part of the curriculum, the basic curriculum of just basic education for people.
No, 100%. I mean, the school system, I think we all have opinions on.
Oh, we do. We can talk about
remember
the school.
that
problem.
Yeah, I mean, they don't teach you what you need to know financially, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I've ever used calculus. I don't know if I've ever needed to, chart in science class, whatever that chart thing's called.
Periodic table.
That thing. But no, I'm with you. Like, they don't teach you the things that you actually need to know about money, about interest, about compounding interest.
Yeah.
And simply about the mindset that you have to be able to be successful. The first book I wrote was From Valet to Millionaire. So I started valeting and then, got into real estate.
Is that your first book?
Yeah. And it's the 10 things they don't teach you to become rich. They's society, they's your teacher, they's your parents, whoever it is. Like, they want the best for you, They're not purposely misleading you, but you know that's their life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's things that you got to change. You got to break away from the pack to be an entrepreneur and to be successful. Because school doesn't cut it for a lot of people.
Yeah, and then for me, like for my parents, like they didn't know anything they didn't know how anything worked. They didn't know how the government worked. They didn't know how the banks work, the insurance and stuff like that. So they're supposed to train me on how to be a better person. I knew from very early on that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't know exactly kind of like what that meant and what that entails. But I had seen other people, and in their mind, like people that were making money, they were cheating the system somehow. That's because they didn't understand their point of view. Is just like, how can they make this much money and not work, or how can they do this and they but it came to a point where I met someone that basically became my mentor, and this is kind of when that opened a lot of doors for me and a lot of ideas, I would say.
For sure. Again, like my parents, were never entrepreneurial. They supported me from day one. They're an absolute blessing in my life. But like again, they don't know what they didn't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Ed Milet, he says this all the time. He's like, it takes that one person to change the family tree. And, anybody can be that one person. They just have to, I call it borrow belief. Just like you said, you met somebody, you saw the success, it's real. We're not trying to land on Mars. Real estate is a very simple process. It's just actually believing in yourself, learning something, and then implementing what you learn to be successful, because real estate works. It's not if, it's only when.
That's right. Yeah. And to me, that's the great equalizer. It doesn't matter like what race you are, what religion you are. We're not going to talk about it, but we're not religion you are, what class you are in, and stuff like that. Age. This thing works. It works, and it's solid. You just have to do a couple of things right, and then have some discipline, and you're gonna get there.
For sure.
So this is the nice thing about it. And then you hit also on something that was very interesting. What's about kind of like the change and stuff like that. Like I'm obviously father to Antoine and my other son Etienne, and I teaching like as much as I could and stuff like that. And now we're at a point where Antoine is teaching me lots of stuff, and then we're kind of learning together, and we're growing together, and we're questioning each other and stuff like that. And that dynamic is phenomenal. So
so one of my fears is growing up, and I guess having a child and having them grow up feeling like entitlement or anything. How do you raise a child when you've already had some success to not, feel entitled, I guess?
Well, yeah, that's good. For me growing up with him, he was like, dude, growing up, like I saw him on the weekends.
Yeah.
He was flying around the country, working. We were from Toronto, so I was born in Toronto. When I was 5, we moved to San Francisco.
Got you.
Big tech boom, 2000, 2001. So he got a job, moved, got us green cards, got us citizenship in 2010. But that 10 years, he was a slave.
Gotcha.
Like just working, and sure, like you making good money, but like all that money then went to like the American dream kind of shit, right? Like it was like we made all this money, but then you had to pay all these bills. You had a mortgage. You had this house that you had to buy because you had to be close to the office. Google, Facebook, whatever, Twitter. You had to be close to the office. The houses around the office were $4 million, $2 million. It's not like
we're in the San Francisco Bay Area at the time. It was insane.
Insane. So then you're like, yeah, okay, I'm going to make this much money by moving there, but then they don't tell you the cost of living is just as much. You're like just scraping by. Yeah. So I think like for me growing up, I never felt entitled to much of it because there was like there wasn't much for. Like I saw the work that was going in
for sure
too. It wasn't just like, oh, Antoine here, and I never got an allowance. I never got anything. Like everything I did, I had to like work my ass off for. And even which we debated about too. Like I would even do like stuff around the house or do gardening or doing like manual labor around the house too, and getting paid by the hour, which. He had a weird feeling of it. It's like, fuck, I don't want to teach him to like hours for time kind of thing. But it did put that like hustle in me to like, fuck, if I can just work 14 hours a day, I can make $140 as a 13-year-old kid, 7-year-old kid. I was like, fuck yeah, I'll do whatever I can do for $100. And then like go to school, and my friends were like, we got $100 a week in allowance. And I'm like, Oh my God!
But let me tell you, he didn't do manual work for very long.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that was painful enough for him.
I think it was for like a summer or two. Yeah.
Yeah, I think maximum one summer. He said, enough of this bullshit. He said that put fire under his behind.
Yeah.
He wanted to get off that. I said, I'm not doing this. This is bullshit.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that was good. And I think the trick, I think, for not being entitled is that you have to teach your kid to be involved, be transparent and all of that, but so they know that there's some work involved and all that and making money, and then have them also put effort and stuff like that and make the connection with money.
For sure.
If you just give them money, or if you just say, then they just feel entitled. They say, oh, yeah, I don't have to work for money. They learn something. They learn that all I have to do is be nice or do this, and then I make money. I get money. So they learn something. They just don't learn what you want them to learn.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
But it's a very fine line. I've thought about that too. Like, how do you make sure?
It's a fear of mine.
Yeah.
Like it's because you want to give them everything, right?
Yeah.
But then how do you make them like work for it too?
Yeah.
And for us, for me, like making him and making them part of it, part of the company, part of
huge.
all of that.
Yeah. Because that was like my mom. So he was working like all day, all night, right? As at like many different companies, because he was independent. He had like a consulting business kind of thing. But my mom was a stay-at-home mom for a good chunk of those years, and so she would always like start these entrepreneurial businesses on the side.
Nice.
So then he was out the whole week. He was back Saturday and Sunday, and then leave again. And then she would have she had like many different companies. They started a sauce company, a like retail store.
Nice.
Then during the summers, growing like even when I was 7 years old, I mean, you said like selling candy. I did the exact same thing.
100%.
Selling soda, selling candy, importing shit from Alibaba, selling it to kids. And then my mom had a store too. So then I was like stacking shelves. I was like running the cash register,
So you saw it.
Yeah. Saw it, and then like learned that it wasn't just like it was like hard work and hustles. Like involving your kid, I think, into whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
And then showing them like, when you first start, all you have is your labor and your time. Then eventually you have cash, and you can leverage that cash and leverage it up, and use leverage to get more money. But
100%.
yeah, it's a difficult one.
But in the end, I mean, you're gonna see too, like your kid you're gonna see your kid. It's gonna show itself that you set them up, and then they're gonna set the path.
For sure.
So that's pretty interesting to see. So anyway, this is welcome to our parenting show.
Change the billboard.
That's right. Breakaway parenting from the rat race. So that's good. So you did that $100,000 house, that $100,000 flip. You say, okay, this is great. You can actually make money at this.
Yeah.
And this is real. It's in the bank. And then is that when after that you start like doing the wholesaling and then the flipping and all that kind of stuff? And how did that come about? Because scaling is another big problem, right?
Agreed.
So it's kind of like, how do you go from, okay, I did it once, can I do it again?
Yeah.
And then can I do it again successfully? And how, if it's so good, why can't I make 10,000 of those a year? 100%. And how do you scale it?
Yeah, I mean, I flipped it and I made $107,000 in net profit. It was like it was a tough deal to get through, very tough. It was a $170,000 rehab. It was a massive project. I was 21 years old, so a lot of lessons learned, but it ended amazing.
Yeah.
Walked out with a $100,000 check, just turned 22. And but I went back to valeting cars 50 to 60 hours a week. I went back to college taking 15 credit hours because I promised my mother I'd get my degree because that's how society works. Went back to it. About 90 to 120 days later, I flipped my second house, made $40,000. So I made about $150,000 in a 3 to 4 month span. Then I was like, hey, Ma, like, you ain't never gonna see me walk across that stage. And then I walked into work. I was like, hey, boss, like, this ain't it no more.
Yeah.
And then went, all in on real estate. So, I looking back, $100,000, I probably could have walked away. But that wasn't like the end goal. You know what I mean? I knew there was a lot more than that. So after that, then yeah, literally went all in on real estate. From day one, I was always sourcing my own deals. Most of it back then was direct mail. 7 years ago, that stuff used to work.
Yeah.
And I did like 7 deals the next year, and then like 20 some the year after that, and then did like 100 the year after that. So the first 2.5 years of doing real estate, it was just me. I was working 14, 16, 18-hour days religiously because like I was trying to make some money. And then finally, one of my mentors convinced me to hire an assistant. To me, it was a cost instead of an investment.
Yeah.
But hired her, business got easier, had more time to my hands. I was like, oh crap, this actually works.
Yeah.
And just kind of kept scaling it that way, hiring more team members, spending more money in marketing, and that's kind of how we grew the deal volume, to where we got it to.
Okay.
And were you in Phoenix at the time, or did you ever go back to Columbus?
Yeah, so I moved to Phoenix for that year to play basketball.
Yep.
And then as soon as I got done, I knew Columbus. It was close to family. So I moved back to Ohio and then lived in Ohio ever since then until moving to Florida about a year ago.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
Everything's been in Ohio.
Gotcha.
Okay, so all these deals have been in Ohio in general, or just in Columbus?
All in Columbus. We wholesaled a little bit in Cincinnati and a little bit in Nashville. But any property I ever purchased and 98% of the deals ever done were in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay, gotcha. Wow. Did you? So how many do you still do wholesaling right now, or did you stop doing that?
Yeah. So mostly we're just buying to hold now.
Okay.
People always ask regret, right? And I wouldn't be in the position I am without this. But so I look back, right? You flip 200 houses, right? Whatever the numbers, wholesale 200-300, whatever it is. Okay, you need money today.
Yeah.
You can't keep all of those because you don't make money today on rental properties. But what if I kept a third or a half? I'd have 2 or 3 times the portfolio I have now. I'd be making a lot more money and be worth a lot more money.
Yeah.
So I wish I would have kept a third of what I sold because I got caught chasing social media. Social media looks cool to do blank amount of deals per month and make X amount of dollars per month. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you're waking up doing the same thing every single day, chasing the next deal. So now we're just buying to keep as rentals. We'll flip a little bit. It used to be 80-20 flips versus wholesales. Now it's reversed. It's 20-80 flips versus wholesale. So just trying to keep as many as possible.
Well, especially in the beginning, you want to build your capital,
for sure,
right? And your your return on investment is phenomenal when you do the flip. It's a lot better than the 12% that you would get cash on cash return.
Yep.
And then we had, we started this kind of did the same similarly too. We had one house, and then that worked fabulously. Then we started with 2 houses, and then the financial system changed a little bit. We couldn't get the same kind of loan we could get. We had to have seasoning period and all that. And it's just okay, well, that's not going fast enough for us. We need to move this along a little bit more. So either you go more cash or something. And then people started hitting us about, hey, I want to invest with you, or I want to buy one of your houses that you finished up and all of that.
Yeah.
And that's when, Antoine is okay, I think we should do this. There's this business we could do turnkey.
Yeah. Love
it. These. We had talked to some turnkey providers before. And we didn't like them. Yeah. And so that's when we decided to do our own.
Nice.
But then it was not going fast enough, and then we said, okay, well, maybe we should do turnkey. Now we have people that are interested in buying those, and then the returns are great, and then let's do that. Let's just flip them.
Yeah, I feel like you have to go through that capital raising stage until you hit a certain number of capital, and now you're okay, now I have $10 million. Now with $10 million, if I bought 250 houses, cool, I'll be making $20,000 a month. Okay,
sure.
now it's a good time to take that cash and convert it from from my fix and flip business to the rentals as well. So because for us too, when we first started, we didn't have much money to start the turnkey business, and I was the only employee, and I was getting paid $2,000 a month or something like that.
Yeah.
And then we were okay, we did the math back. How many houses do we need to it's 10, okay, we need 10 houses.
Antoine wanted to make sure that whatever money we were making, he was paying for himself.
Yeah.
So, right? It's just how many houses? Okay, I need to sell this much and I pay for myself. And then
no, that was before that. Even just for the cash flow, every house we bought was $200 a month in cash flow. It's okay, we need 10 houses. 10 houses, $20,000 each. Okay, we need $200,000. You have $200,000? no, not right now. And then it's like, okay, well, fuck, we got to sell some of these. Okay, let's keep going to getting to the 200. And then he started seeing that work. And then we were like, well, do you want to quit your job to come over? Okay, do the math again.
Love it.
How many fucking houses do then we need like 2 million houses for this guy. So, like that was like our situation. It was like, okay, the only way to do that, we do one house a month. That makes you 10, 20K a month.
Yeah.
Or you can keep it and make 200.
Yep.
What do you do?
For sure.
Yeah, exactly.
And at what point do you do? What was the turning point? So you're doing a lot of flips. Things are going well. How many flips? What was the maximum number of flips that you were doing when you said, okay, well, I need to change my business model now. I want to accumulate more.
Yeah. So the at the peak, it was between flips, wholesales, and BRRRRs rentals. It was about 100 deals in a year. So give or take 5 or 10 deals, but that's kind of like what it peaked at.
Yeah.
And majority of them were flips and wholesales. And one day, a really good friend of mine, his name's Terry. We've talked. We actually were in the same real estate school class before starting investing. We both started there, and then he took the avenue. He kept all rentals, and I did all flips, mostly flips. And at the beginning, I had a lot more money than him.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then years into this, which was a few years ago, I was talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I just refied, maybe a tenth, of my portfolio, and I paid off half the houses. I re-leveraged the other ones at a lower interest rate, so I'm actually making more money. I paid off half the debt, and I pulled out, 7 figures plus tax free." I was like,
"Oh my god,
what?" And that's when the light bulb lit.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, yeah. I've built a war chest. I have some money in the bank. I was like, let's keep rental properties now. And from that point, I forget the exact number, but I think it was like 30 rental properties in like 90 days or something. I just went all in on rentals. And just, that's kind of been the focus ever since. But it was that phone call that triggered it for me.
Yeah.
That's true. We have a guy in Memphis that did that too, and he started when he was 20 years old, 21 years old, buying houses. He got up to like 600 houses. Yeah. And he was just like, I don't give a shit. Like all of his businesses, he was just like, just like, we're like, why are you so fucking calm? He's like, he started a property management company just to manage his own rentals. Then he's like, okay, cool. Well, at least we're always going to have $600, right? And it's like, and he was making so much money coming in every single month. And then he would just, he started a hard money lending company by taking a line of credit against the 600 houses. There we go. Yeah. Hard money lending business created. It's like crazy. So I definitely see how that plays into effect. Just takes a long.
Well, you have to get to that point. I mean, sure. I think you have to get to that point. I think our path for the cash. Yeah. So that you can do that. But definitely, you can be a little bit greedy at the beginning and kind of not do any kind of rentals on the side. I mean, normally, like you suggested, you want to do some flips. That's fine to build capital, but then maybe a third or a quarter, you want to keep some of the rentals.
I agree. Yeah, I definitely agree.
But that's interesting too, that you about around 100 houses a year. That's when you kind of like, okay, this is like but you had a phone call. We didn't have any phone calls.
Wish we stopped at that point.
Because for us, like our decision was, okay, well, let's keep scaling up. Let's do more. Right now we're doing like around 200 houses a year.
Love it.
So 200 flips. So it takes more, more resources, more contractor and stuff like that. And now we're saying, okay, well, I think we need to. We're at the maximum. Like for the markets that we have and the crews that we have and the employees that we have, it doesn't scale.
But that's all flips too, no wholesale.
Yeah, all flips.
That's a lot. Yeah. That's a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But then for you, when you did decide to transition, did you have to turn off anything? Like, did you have any people that were running the wholesaling thing for you that you had to shut off, or like?
Yeah, great question. So, from day one, we were always sourcing our own deals. So we were always doing the marketing, the cold calling, the SMS, the texting. So people always ask, like, did I run a wholesale operation? Yeah, but I was the buyer. Like, I bought 90% of the deals that came through. Yeah. Didn't really change anything because we were still acquiring. and we've outsourced management. That's something I know it could be done better in-house, but then you got to take all the headaches of managing.
Yeah.
And rentals, honestly, for me, like to this day, I still don't touch any of the income. Like it's just in a bank account and grows. And like, you know, if you do a burr and you're over by 10 grand, use that money to put into it. So to me, it's like always been a long game. And I just try to like completely forget about my entire portfolio. And then wake up, you know, when I'm 35, 40, 45 years old and, you know, be set for whatever.
Yeah,
So I try to forget about it for those reasons.
Yeah. Wow, that's good. But that's really so. How many units do you have right now?
About 100 right now.
Yeah. So you know, a lot of people are asking, look, I don't want to be a landlord. I don't want to have to deal with all the tenants and stuff like that. And you have 100 houses. So how much time do you spend managing your portfolio?
Phenomenal question. So
with the third-party property management, right?
Yeah, 100%. Okay. Definitely outsourced. Okay. So like when you're dealing with refinances and stuff, you know, we just refied 12 units or something. So like there's a paperwork and a process to that. So let's remove that because that's like, you know, getting it stabilized. So of the rentals, we have 7 Airbnbs that we have a company that cleans them. We got boots on the ground, and somebody in my operations, you know, handles like, you know, everything else. So me personally, I'd spend, I don't know, 30 minutes a week maybe. My team, direct team, like the guy on payroll, maybe an hour a day for the Airbnbs. And then for the rest of the portfolio, I mean, I had my monthly call this morning. It was 37 minutes. Okay. And that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's it.
With the property management company and all that. Wow.
But again, like I know it's not maximizing the profitability, right? Because, you know, turns don't take a week. They take a month or a month and a half.
Oh, okay.
You know, you got to pay a leasing fee. You got to pay a management fee. So I know it's not max. We're not, you know, increasing rents every 12 months. You know, it might be every 2 years because some slip through the crack. So I know we could make more money if we took it in house, but like it's completely out of sight, out of mind for me. So you know, hopefully it continues.
You don't have to worry about staffing and managing.
Yeah, not worth your time.
It's literally like, and again, I told you, like I literally don't take a penny out of it. So for me, it's a long play. So it's like, all right, cool. Let's let this go for the next 5 or 10 years. Yeah, and then we can figure it out at that point.
Wow. Do you have any Section 8 that are part of the portfolio?
So we have 2 that for sure. That's all that I know about. Because
only 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure there's some more, but the only 2 that I know of. Because on today's call, one's back like $9,000 and one's back like $4,000.
Wow.
But and CMHA.
Okay, we're gonna edit that out.
No, but in Columbus, Ohio, CMHA, that's like the Section 8. They did like a transition on their management or something. Yeah. They literally sent notices to everybody. Like, hey, we know we're months behind. We know you will get paid. But you know, we just have this huge issue going on.
So that's the government basically back on their rent.
Exactly.
Which I have one of those. I have one of those in Detroit. I've been buying some Section 8s in Detroit because the returns are insane. Yeah. And they're like, one of them is back like $4,000 or $5,000.
Oh, really?
I've never seen it.
Yeah.
My guy's like, it's coming. I promise. Like, you're gonna get.
I followed
paid.
Up today too.
That's not good. That's not good when the government is back on rent.
I agree.
How do you evict the government?
No, they were like, we didn't have a piece of paper or some shit from the tenant. I'm like, okay, it's been like 3 months. Like, how long does it take to get a piece of paper? Yeah. She didn't fill out this form.
One unit was $8,800. I was like, that's a lot of money back rent.
Oh my god.
Wow.
So it'll come. I got faith. Hopefully.
You have faith in the government. Interesting.
I got faith in Section 8.
So then you said you're still buying today, even with the really high interest rates. You're still buying, and you're still buying in Columbus.
Yep.
Have you thought about doing another market, changing it up?
Yeah. I've thought about it. I thought about Cincinnati. We talked briefly on that. I think it's an amazing, very similar market to Columbus. I don't fix what isn't broken.
Yeah.
So outside of Columbus, I'd buy 100% buy, but ideally a larger multifamily. But anything in Columbus, we're buying, just because that's where the team's at.
Yeah, I gotcha. Have you ever bought any multifamily?
Our biggest one's an 8 unit. So we got an 8, 2 6s, bunch of doubles, bunch of singles. The biggest portfolio was 18 single family houses. It's all obviously separate, but it's one transaction. That was honestly the best deal I've ever done. Bought it for 3.1, put like $100,000 into it, 6 months later, it appraised for almost $6 million.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
Holy
it was.
shit.
We got an amazing deal on the front end, and
Yeah.
then what's the plant? Intel. They're putting like 20 billion or something into Columbia, or maybe 100 billion. It's some crazy number,
Wow.
and it's like 10 minutes from all the properties.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my God.
It was all just perfect timing.
Jeez.
Wow. So you have a why single family rental? Why not apartment buildings like so many people want us to go to?
Yeah. To me, it's never been one or the other. It's been whatever comes in. Because at the end of the day, like, it's all cash flow, but I think there's big benefits and big downfalls to both sides. So I think at the beginning in single family, you know, it's simple, it's easy. You know, you're not raising 10 million, you're raising 100 grand. It's just a lower point to entry. And then, you know, kind of as I've gone up, I like the bigger deals. There's obviously more hurdles to get into it. But I see the arguments on both sides. So to me, it's not one or the other. It's whatever comes across my table that makes sense. I'm going for it.
Yeah, and right now the market to find multifamily is pretty tight. I mean,
sure.
it's very hard to find. And then of course, because the supply is low,
Yeah.
then the prices are through the roof. Cap rate is super low,
Especially
and
with
it's
interest
like-
rates.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's
I mean,
more
just like
complicated.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Do you guys own any multifam?
We have one in Midtown Memphis.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Do you enjoy it?
yeah, we had 5 at one point, and we sold like 4.
Yeah, we had close to like 100 units.
Multifam?
Yeah, but we
Nice.
bought them for like just crazy deals. I think
Okay.
it was just
Yeah.
perfect fucking timing. Like
Nice.
Yeah.
bought one for $1 million, put 400 into it, sold it for 2.2 million.
Beautiful.
Like
Beautiful.
18 months later.
Yeah.
Silly. Another one.
Yeah, we when we bought it, we thought we're never gonna sell it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we got that
exactly what we
offer.
said,
Oh.
Yeah, it's hard to turn down.
Yeah, I thought it was worth because we bought it for $1 million, 400K, all in for 1.4. I was like, oh, it's worth 1.8.
Yeah.
And then we get offered 2.2, closing in 30 days. I'm
Time to
like,
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit. Okay. Yeah, and that was when this was like right before COVID. So
Yeah.
lucky I got out of it.
For sure.
And this one, the last one that we have, fantastic location. So
Nice.
this one, I think we're gonna keep
Forever?
And, yeah, well, we'll say that. But well, if you want to make a good offer, we're always open to that.
That's
But
funny, man.
yeah, so
Well, yeah, so one of the reasons why we do want to sell that one is because we have investors in that deal.
Got you.
And then they keep, asking me like, hey, what's up? Like, I think the building, it's 16 units. I think that like nets like a couple $1,000 a month, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, when's our, we're going to get like monthly disbursements. Yeah,
You
distributions.
want
And then,
$100 each?
yeah, I know. And I'm like, sure, I can give you it. But like, I don't want to ask you for money 2 months later when like there's an HVAC or XYZ or a unit turn or whatever. So I'm like, let's just keep the money in the bank. There's 20, 30 grand in the bank. Let's just leave it in there. And like, I'll give you guys your $50 when time.
a Starbucks card maybe.
Coffee on us.
Yeah. And so that ask for you, like for your portfolio, is those 100, do you have any like joint venture people, private money like associated with that? Is it only you and you can now make the decisions, or how is it kind of set up?
No, fantastic question. So basically we raise private money to fund it and buy, purchase and rehab. Then we cash out with the bank, pay off all the private money 100%. So those I own 100%. That 18-unit portfolio that we purchased was a buddy of mine that found the deal, brought it to the table. So him and I partnered on it. So outside of those 18, I own 100% of everything. And that was the first long-term partnership. Like we've JV'd on like flips before, but that's in and out. But that's like the first like long-term partnership ever done. It's going great. But 10 years from now, we may have different decisions, liquidation, whatever. But I was never open to partnerships. I wanted 100% of my little grape, and I realized that was not the right way to do things. So now I want 10, 20, 50% of a big old watermelon. So very open to it now. But I'm sure it can come with struggles, with wrong people, wrong intentions, all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we have the right people. We have the right people. I mean, the people are great that we're working. Our investors are great. They're very understanding, very good, but they're also kind of like new to investing in apartment buildings.
Yeah.
And then they're kind of like they want to see some money and stuff like that. And I mean, so that's kind of the thing. But when you own the property yourself, I mean, it's so much easier, so much more flexible. And
because those other apartment buildings were owned just by us.
Yeah.
So we ran a return on equity calculation. We're like 3%. Fuck this. Like sell the damn thing, right?
It's an easy decision.
Yeah, easy decision. And then we just boom, accepted the offer because I thought it was 1.8. So obviously your ROE is way different than 2.2.
For sure.
And we were like ran it at 2.2. It's like 3%. I'm like, I think we were walking like at the beach. I'm like, we gotta sell that thing. It does not make any sense to hold the damn thing. Then I was like, if it is worth 2.2, we refinance it. We can't even refi because the rents don't make sense. Like the thing would make $200 a month for a 20-unit apartment.
We couldn't
building.
Maximize on the mortgage.
Yeah. So it's like it doesn't make sense to refi. ROE sucks. Let's just take the cash, put it in Martel Turnkey, or flip a house. It makes 30% return on our money versus 3. Yeah.
So that portfolio that I was telling you about, the 18 units, very similar situation. The ARV is just so high. I think our debt's like the refi, like the stabilization of the BRRRR is at like 62% LTV.
Oh my god!
So we're all in for 3.3. It's worth 6. $0 cash out. It was a break even because the debt service coverage ratio, the rents just aren't there.
Yeah.
So I definitely understand what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're big on equity. So we look for equity. We look for return on equity and maximizing that. So that's when these numbers came up. Then okay, I even sold my house to get the equity out. My house. So to invest in apartment buildings and to invest in Martel Turnkey. So because the equity, it was really pissing me off. Every day I would come home and I would see the equity watching TV. And when I've been working my ass off, it's just like, the equity is right there. And I'm sitting on my couch.
That's true.
Yeah. So did real estate, and then you kind of like another transition point was around social media. So how did the social media really came about? So let's just talk about kind of how it came about, and then I think it came about while you were doing real estate and you were doing flips. And how did that social media help your real estate business?
For sure. So again, mentor, just like, get on social media. And at the beginning, it was just, trying to show people how the game, how to grow, how to learn. Probably did that for like a year, just literally, close the deal today, buying this house, here's the numbers, just documenting what I was doing on a daily basis. And then it came to a point, I don't even know what we did, but somehow it got monetized. I think it was like an affiliate deal or something. And I was like, wait a minute, like you can make money on social media? Like this is crazy. This is probably 2-3 years ago or something, maybe a little bit longer. And I was like, what in the world? So kept doing my thing, started making more money. And I was like, oh, like this can be like real. This can be a business. So now, at that point we started tracking, KPIs, what I posted, what worked, what didn't, views, impressions, shares, likes, all those things, to try and, maximize the exposure. And, at the end of the day, we live in a world where eyeballs is everything, right? What's the Alex Hormozy?
I just watched that video.
Just watched that today.
Eyeballs is the new oil. Mr. Beast just turned down a multi-billion-dollar deal just for his social media channels. So it's kind of realized over the last couple of years, like the power of having a brand and having eyeballs behind you. And just, kind of been going all in on that. So, posting on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and, just trying to continuously grow it as much as possible.
Yeah. So did that attract that coverage, not only because it's monetized, but also how did that help you and the real estate thing to be more awareness of, like you're doing the deals anyway? How did that change?
No, 100%. Been able to raise money from it, private money. I remember a deal backed out the night of, and I had to close like 9 a.m. the next morning. Made a post, raised a couple $100,000 from somebody I've never met. And I was like, oh crap, like, this is crazy. Wow. And she literally were on the phone. She's like, I don't know why I'm like doing this, but like I just trust you. So social media, and now we're here. Bought a lot of deals from it, from like JV. That deal, came from having a brand, having a presence. Been bought a lot of other deals from wholesalers. Same thing. I get sent deals. I'm all over all day, every day. So it's sorting through some of the bad ones. But absolutely, it brought deal flow. It brought money. It brought exposure. It brought speaking on stages. It got me getting into rooms that I never thought I could get into. Literally just by having a check mark or 100,000 followers. It opens up a lot of doors and opportunities for you.
Yeah, I know. Antoine was posting. So every once in a while, he would post this. Oh yeah, well, we have this for anything, right? Raising money. I need some money. Before the phone would go off the hook. Okay, well, yeah, $100,000, $50,000.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then we want to hire somebody. Okay, yeah, there we go. We have like 3 applicants or 5 applicants.
Anything you need.
Anything is just
yeah. We had like a Section 8. Like Tom Cruise has been really pushing the Section 8 stuff. And then like, dude, you post anything Section 8 now, it just blows up. So I was like, Section 8 turnkey, Section 8 rental for sale. It got like, the most ever stories views I've ever gotten. Like my sales team had 45 book calls that day just from that one post.
Oh my God,
it was like,
awesome.
Oh my God, it was crazy. So yeah, social media definitely worked. Yeah, we raised a ton of money from it, sold houses, and yeah.
So right now with your social media, and then so now you're doing private money lending also right now, or so what are you doing right now, like in terms of investment, in terms of with your engagement with people?
For sure. So still doing real estate, buying houses, keeping as rentals, flipping a couple houses here and there, and then social media. There's different brand deals you can have like through like PropStream or Batch or any of those things. So a little bit of there, but every once in a while like different bigger opportunities will come just from eyeballs. So people always ask me like, what's the end goal with social media?
Yeah.
Like I don't really know yet, but I know social media will bring that end goal. Whatever it is, like one opportunity, one relationship, one deal. It's game over just from that. So. Yeah. Trying to be omnipresent on social as much as possible. And then, ran into an opportunity a few months ago. It's called the ERC. That I think is the biggest opportunity I've ever seen in my life. So it's the way I look at it is like very similar to a wholesale business. It's the same model, just a different product. So I'm like, well, I already know how to do this. And so that's getting a lot of attention right now too. So
you want to explain what that is?
Yeah, so high level is called the Employee Retention Credit, and it came out in the CARES Act back in 2020 when the CARES Act came out, and business owners can get a $26,000 credit per W-2 employee that they had on payroll during 2020 and 2021. A lot of businesses don't know this exists. It's money owed to them from the IRS. It's a credit on money that they've already paid. So everybody has the money there. They just have to go in and claim it. So basically, there's companies that help people get access to these funds. And as an affiliate, you can connect business owners with the company and then get paid a commission on it. So unlike, real estate, it eliminates all the risk, but there's significantly higher upside as well. So that's kind of high level what it is. And there's so much money in it. It's a 2-year run. It ends September 2024. But I'm like, hey, 2 years is a long time. So, yeah, it's getting a lot of attention right now.
But I thought that so I didn't realize that people could get a commission for getting the ERC to a company.
Yeah, so you don't get paid from the IRS.
Yeah.
But the companies that help business owners get access to it, they take a filing fee.
Okay.
Of, different people charge different things, call it 15%. So if somebody gets $100,000, it's $15,000 to the company, then the company pays you a commission for making that connection.
Okay. Oh, okay. Interesting.
And what are you doing to find the business owners? Are you buying lists, cold calling, texting?
Same thing as wholesaling.
Oh
Texting, cold calling, Facebook ads,
really?
PPC. I was driving down here. There's an open billboard that said advertise here. I was like, well, got to give them a call.
Wow.
But it's literally the same model, just a different product.
Got it. And are you pushing people to like your landing page where they fill out a form to collect their info, or right to your affiliate link? I guess they could go there, right?
Yeah, they could. We have a double opt-in, so we're collecting the information on the front end, so we can give them a call, answer any questions they have, and then it goes directly to the questionnaire to actually determine the eligibility and the qualification.
Gotcha. Wow, that's crazy.
So I mean, it's literally the same model. So I was like, well, this is perfect. Let's give it a try.
Yeah, interesting. And then where do you see yourself in past that 2-year mark? A couple $1 million later, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Obviously, you're still buying the rentals. You got this little stint going on for the next couple of years. Yep. But where do you see like Austin in 10 years? What do you see yourself doing? Like new businesses, new ventures, or just keep stacking the money into the rentals? What do you think?
Yeah, great question. It changes all the time. I think so. There's like 3 really big opportunities in today's world that I see. Real estate, it's been around. It's always going to be around. It's created the most millionaires ever. So like, let's keep doing real estate, right? Eyeballs is currency. That's the saying that I have, and it's building the brand as big as possible. And then cryptocurrencies, I think obviously it's not doing well right now, but I think it'll change the future. So I'm really big on that too. So basically, those are the 3 things that have my focus. And if you can make money, put it into those things, I think it'll pay off a lot in the future. Hopefully, knock on wood.
Yeah.
But as far as like 10 years from now, I don't know. I'm getting married in April, so like having a family, we're going to try and have kids after that, God willing. So, hopefully, I'll be able to spend as much time with the little ones as possible.
Okay, that's good.
Cool.
Do you want to talk about your program, Elevate Life?
Yeah. So Elevate's just kind of like the personal brand. So Austin, Rutherford, Elevate Life, kind of synonymous with one another, but. Anything personal branding, real estate education, affiliate deals, anything like that kind of falls under the Elevate umbrella. But yeah, basically we help other people, get invested into real estate.
Okay. So what's part of the program? It's all about kind of like social media. It's about real estate investing. You have different branches that people sign up, and it's like
so
classes and stuff.
A couple different programs. One's called Elevate Coaching. It's specifically for real estate. So basically wholesaling, raising money, flipping houses, and buying rental properties. Has some coursework, has some coaching calls with it as well. There's another program called the Elevate Family. It's kind of like a high level mentorship. Guys that are already successful in business. Just kind of coming together and learning and bouncing ideas off of one another. And then we do events every once in a while. We were talking about that earlier. Hopefully Q1 of next year, we'll do a big one down here in South Florida. But the power of getting people in a room together, there's just a lot of opportunity that comes with that.
Yeah, especially if they're like-minded or they're seeking the same thing or something. Yeah, definitely. Excellent. Do you want to talk about your book, your latest book? What is it called?
Well, you did a book tour on that too, right?
Get free houses. Yeah, we did 10 cities in 13 days.
How do I get a free house?
I should have brought the book, but it's Get Free Houses, and it's how to build generational wealth without using your own money. So, a lot of what we talked about today is based around the BRRRR method. So, how to raise money to buy the house, renovate it, rent it out, and then refinance it with the bank. So it's kind of breaking down each one of those steps, how to find deals, how to raise the money, how to, rent a house, not so much on management. I say, hey, I have a management company, and then, refinance it with the bank. So if anybody wants to grab a copy, howtogetfreehouses.com, they can grab a copy there.
All right.
How did the book tour go?
It was good. It was amazing. Connect with a few thousand people in person, which was awesome. People driving, 2, 3, 4 hours in just to kind of come, see, learn, connect. It was very rewarding and humbling. It was a lot of work. It was a lot more than I thought it was going to be. We'd be up at 6 a.m., 7 a.m. on the road to the next city, drive for 3 to 6 hours, set up, go grab lunch, come back, and, from I think it was 6 to 11, do the event, break it down, do it all again the next day. So it was a lot. It was amazing, but it was a lot.
Did you film it?
Yeah. So we documented the entire thing.
Oh yeah.
So it was a
Did you rent like an RV?
No. So we
don't tell me it's a Honda Civic or something you took.
A
Sprinter.
Chevy Suburban. I wish it was a Sprinter. Next time. So if I do it again, I'm gonna get a Sprinter to drive. And I'm gonna get people to set
Just
up.
Rent it for set
up and break down. So, but it was a good time though. It was fun.
Yeah. Did you autograph all these books?
I did.
Like carpal tunnel.
Yeah.
I don't even remember how to handwrite anymore. Like everything is over here, and then wait a minute, I just want to write a little bit, and my hand starts hurting.
Handwriting is horrendous.
Yeah.
So the other thing is okay. So that's good. And then did you have to like read excerpt of your book, or how did that work for your book tour? Did you have to what kind of presentation did you have to prepare for?
Yeah. So, I think it was 3 hours. It was like 45 minutes of networking at the beginning. And then I did a talk basically around raising private money. So it was like 30 minutes on, what private money is, how to raise it, how to talk to them, documents needed. So basically very informative on private money.
Yeah.
And then some cities we had like guests come in from that city locally, come in and teach on the topic. And then broke out and then, hung out and networked for the last like 30, 45 minutes. So it wasn't necessarily part of the book, like word for word, but it was basically the chapter on raising private money.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good. Private money is, like if you've never heard of it, I mean, it's mind blowing.
It is.
I mean, you always think that, I have to go to a bank to get a loan, and then no banks give loans for some reason.
Yeah.
So, so
not right now.
Right? I mean, yeah. I mean, now they may do. Maybe they are now, but nobody wants these loans. But anyway, so that's just kind of like the situation. And then you hear about private money, and it's just, oh my God, this is like I can do that, and this is legal, and this is the contract. It's a simple contract that I have to do, and. I mean, mind blowing.
I'm very passionate about private money, and I think the thing that most people don't understand is they feel like they're coming from an ask. They're like, hey, can you guys lend me $200,000? Please, can you believe in me to lend me $200,000? Yeah. And if you're educated on real estate and you understand the product, that means there's very limited risk. And there's no other better asset class for somebody that's 50, 60, 70 years old to invest in to potentially earn a double-digit return that's backed by and secured by usually first or second position on real estate. Yeah. I've gotten the phone calls of people, and I'm sure you guys have too, of people like crying, thanking me for allowing them to retire early to give them the cash flow.
Nobody cried. No.
Coming soon.
Not yet. Not it.
But like I did a video this morning on it, and so I forget the exact numbers, but if you got $1 million in the stock market, it just went down 30%. So you're at $700,000. It'll take you 5 years.
Those people are crying.
100%. Yeah. It'll take them 5 years at an average of 7% to get back to break even.
Exactly. Yeah.
Versus if somebody could take that money, lend it at 10%, whatever the number is, there is no downside to it.
Yeah.
So I think people need to get away from the ask and truly, wholeheartedly, genuinely believe you're giving somebody an opportunity in a lifetime to invest with you. Yeah. And when you believe that, it's significantly more easier to talk with people about raising private money.
Because when you think about it, I mean, you ask anybody, is where are you going to invest your money to make like 8 or 10, 12% interest?
With very limited risk.
Very limited risk, exactly. So nobody has that. You're going to leave it in the bank for
0.02.
Yeah, really.
Oh, you're an ally? This is the highest interest rate I've ever seen.
That's funny.
I think I'm getting 2% on ally right now, annualized, of course.
Yeah, 2%.
But I was like, wow, this is amazing.
That's funny.
Anyway, Austin, so it was a pleasure speaking with you. So if people are interested in following you, in contacting you and learning more, getting your book and stuff like that, what's the best place for them to reach you?
Yeah. So at Austin Rutherford Official on Instagram, that's where I'm the most interactive, answering DMs on there, on TikTok, on YouTube. And if you want to grab a copy of the book, How to Get Free Houses, www.howtogetfreehouses.com. So appreciate the opportunity being here. This was fun.
Well, it was a great conversation. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.
Absolutely.
So make sure you like and subscribe, and see you next week.